Hey guys, Rowan from Study TV. Over the last couple of years as I've been working with students, one of the things that I've discovered is that a number of students study from their textbook. And so the point of this short video is to highlight a couple of key reasons why studying from a textbook is extremely ineffective and efficient as a form of study. The video will also hopefully persuade and convince you that creating study notes should be a vital part of your overall study strategy. Now, the first reason why studying from a textbook is highly ineffective is that ultimately the information that's in a textbook, while very detailed, is actually organised in a way that is not conducive to memory retention. Let me illustrate with an example. Have you ever read a paragraph and then had to read it again because you've had absolutely no clue what you've just read? I know this has happened to me a lot when I was at uni studying law. Frequently, I'd read a paragraph, and because I wasn't focused, because I wasn't concentrating, and frankly because it was quite complex, I needed to read it again because I couldn't remember a thing. The reality is that textbooks are generally structured in large chunks of information, so the key points don't actually jump out at you. It's much harder as a result to actually remember and learn and understand the information that you require, and to be frank, you often give up studying a lot earlier than you perhaps should because you simply don't seem to be taking any information in. So, point number one, textbooks don't organise information in a method and a manner that is conducive to memory retention. Number two, while textbooks have loads and loads of excellent information, more often than not, it has loads of irrelevant information as well. For example, most textbooks will have brilliant information exactly on point, but because they're not necessarily following the predetermined syllabus that your school is using, they're going to have lots of other information that you simply don't need to know for your exams. The problem, therefore, is if you use a textbook to study, the reality is that you may be learning information that's not required for your exams. And while that may be great for your general knowledge, the reality is it's actually going to be taking you longer to study, and you're going to be wasting time that you could be using to study and learn things that are relevant for your syllabus. So textbooks are also highly ineffective because they don't actually narrow down the information and make it succinct and clear for you to learn from. The final reason why you should, as a result, create notes and not study from a textbook is that simply studying from a textbook actually limits the amount of revision that you're doing. Generally, if you're studying from a textbook, you'd read it. You might read it again. You might read it again. But there's limited levels of repetition purely because reading is a fairly passive activity. You don't need to use your brain and really think quite actively, and that's the reason why you read it once and have to read it again. On the other side of things, so if you're creating study notes, you've got to read something, you've got to think about it, you've got to organise it, and then you've got to write it. And so you've got greater levels of repetition, which is a key principle of memory retention. So, at the end of the day, you should create study notes. Over the last 6 years and over research with over 300 top students, what I've found is that I would say 98% of top students use study notes as a key part of their overall study strategy. So the reality is it works, and there's some very good reasons for it working. So if you're not creating study notes, my suggestion would be start immediately. It's never too late. Make a point of sitting down once a week, spend 40 to 45 minutes just simply creating study notes for what you've done the week before. You'd be surprised at how easy it is and how very little time consuming it actually becomes, and how much more effective it is than simply reading your textbook once a week. The reality will be that when you get to your exams, what you'll have is you'll have a neat study notes, all completed, ready to go for you to study from, instead of having to flick through a textbook. So, please create study notes. It's simple, but a vital part of an effective study strategy. If you have any questions that you'd like to see answered on Study TV, please leave them below in the comments or shoot me an email via the contact form. Please make sure you subscribe as well. Over the next year, we'll be having 300 plus videos uploaded of interviews with top students and tips and strategies to help you excel academically at school, hopefully reduce your stress, and make sure the whole way through that you'll have more fun. Until next time, cheers.